Common Core has affected many states across the United States. The Common Core is a set of national standards that provide the guidelines for education in schools. Many people have different opinions on whether the Common Core is truly a good way to educate children.
People oppose the Common Core because they believe that each state or even town should have its own standards because they feel not every student has to learn the same things.
Welcome to our town of Ludlow, Massachusetts, where the Common Core is actively used and supported. We took a trip to Paul R. Baird Middle School to see how teachers and students felt about the Common Core standards.
States were not given any flexibility with regards to implementation of the Common Core. We were told, if you want this money, you are going to implement these standards, and you cannot change them at all.
The biggest problem with the Common Core, I think, is, well, there are a number of problems with Common Core, but I would say one is the fact that it is taking time to implement, and we haven't had sufficient time to do what they've asked us to do before the assessment comes out.
The difficulty in this country with the Common Core really has been in their implementation.
You mentioned education. Could you talk a little bit about your view and where you stand if you were to be elected governor on the Common Core curriculum? It's stirred up quite a controversy across the United States. What would you do as governor in terms of implementing it?
Stirred up a lot of controversy, including in Louisiana. I strongly support the Common Core standards. When you actually look at the standards, which is what Common Core is about, people who really read them, that may not be a whole lot, but people actually look at them, I think they're very strong, significant, positive standards.
Many people strongly support the Common Core standards because it provides a clear, consistent understanding of what students are expected to know.
Students were getting very different educations depending on which state they lived in. So what the attempt was made to do was set a set of national standards that all schools would aspire to, so that a student in Georgia is learning the same things that a student in Massachusetts, that a student in California is learning. I want to make Common Core, because the name of the Common Core, everybody calls it Common Core, but it's Common Core state standards. That's really a misnomer, because they're not. It's Common Core federal standards. The federal government has tried everything they can do not to have people see them in that way, but that's how they are. If they truly want to make them state standards, states need to be afforded the flexibility to analyze those standards to determine whether or not they are appropriate for what they want students in their states to know and be able to do when they graduate high school.
So what can be done to fix the standards?
Anytime you implement something, you have to assess whether or not the implementation was successful. They're not allowing us to do that. They're not allowing us the flexibility to change it if change is necessary. And that's what that's doing, is creating controversy and creating this discord that's really kind of working to inhibit progress. Department of Elementary and Secondary Education reform the curriculum committees in our states and have teachers come together, look at the standards and determine the appropriateness. Change where they feel change needs to be done, keep what they feel is working.
There are some pieces about it that are not so good, but the potential is tremendous.
Education is more important, because I don't think that the Department of Education does nothing, but I think it actually does real damage to the cause of actually educating children. It adds layers of bureaucracy, issues like Common Core, which through the Obama stimulus were imposed on the states.
So there's stress in the fact that it takes time to really look at what you've been doing for years and figure out what you need to change. There's stress in the fact that there isn't a lot of time to sit down and just create new curriculum that aligns with them, so that takes years. There's stress in deciding what materials do we need to do this the best job possible. And then for teachers and for students, there's stress because they know that they're going to be held accountable to a test at the end, a test that's going to really assess whether or not they've mastered those standards deeply. And it takes time for everybody to get to where they need to be.